And it's recently been reported that Camilla is likely to be a bit nervous about the upcoming coronation and that her ex-husband, Andrew Parker Bowles, will also be there. Now, she's spent a long time in public life.
So, for decades, Queen Camilla's past has remained one of the royal family's most talked about chapters, surrounded by endless rumors, unanswered questions, and relentless public scrutiny. But now, a stunning revelation has reignited the conversation. Camilla's former husband has finally broken his silence, sharing details that have left royal watchers questioning everything they thought they knew about their marriage and its dramatic end. Was their divorce truly inevitable, or has a hidden truth been kept from the public all along? What he revealed has shocked many, but what could be the shocking truth that Camilla's ex-husband revealed? Why is he just revealing it now? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover the latest royal drama, please subscribe. Andrew's hidden royal sacrifice. So, here's where this story takes a surprising turn. Back in January 1995, Andrew Parker Bowles reportedly found himself sitting inside a London law office, facing a decision that would change the course of his life forever. The marriage between him and Camilla was coming to an end, and all that remained was the final signature. But according to this account, these were no ordinary divorce papers. They allegedly contained a strict non-disclosure agreement that would prevent Andrew from ever publicly sharing his version of what had really happened behind closed doors. By that point, the public already believed they knew the story. Just months earlier, then Prince Charles had openly admitted during a televised interview that he had been unfaithful in his marriage. The headlines quickly shaped a simple narrative. Andrew became known as the quiet, defeated husband who had stepped aside while Charles and Camilla's long-rumored relationship finally moved into the spotlight. Few people stopped to wonder whether Andrew had his own story to tell, but according to these claims, there was much more happening behind the scenes. Palace officials and experienced legal advisors reportedly worked hard to ensure the divorce was completed without any public conflict. Rather than offering large financial rewards, they are said to have appealed to something far more personal: Andrew's lifelong loyalty to the crown and his desire to protect his children from an even bigger public scandal. The message, according to the account, was clear. If he refused to sign or decided to reveal everything he knew about Charles and Camilla's relationship, the consequences could be enormous. A long and bitter legal fight might follow. Senior members of the royal family could be forced into court. The monarchy itself could face serious embarrassment, and uncomfortable questions might even be raised about the future of the institution. For Andrew, this was no ordinary request. He had spent years serving the monarchy with distinction as an officer in the Blues and Royals, and later as Silver Stick in waiting to Queen Elizabeth II. Loyalty and duty had defined much of his adult life. According to the story, he understood exactly what was being asked of him, and he chose to sign. That single decision reportedly came with a heavy personal price. Unable to defend himself or explain his side of the story, Andrew watched as one public version of events became accepted as fact. For years, he reportedly lived with public embarrassment, uncomfortable moments among friends and fellow officers, and endless speculation, all while refusing to speak out. According to this narrative, his silence did more than protect private lives. It also helped shield the monarchy from a much deeper and far more damaging public controversy. So, when did Andrew finally break his silence? What did he say about his divorce? Let's find out. Andrew Parker Bowles finally breaks silence. So, Andrew Parker Bowles is now 86 years old, and after decades of remaining almost completely silent, he's said to be looking back at a chapter of his life that the public thought had already been settled. Sitting quietly in his home, with an old leather-bound journal that has remained closed for nearly 30 years, he is finally revisiting memories that, according to this account, tell a very different story from the one the world has long believed. For decades, the official narrative seemed simple, neat, and almost too perfect. Andrew was portrayed as the dignified former husband who accepted that his marriage had come to an end, so Camilla could build a future with the man destined to become king. He was described as calm, respectful, and understanding. The retired army officer who stepped aside without creating public drama. As far as most people knew, he quietly faded into the background, while one of the most talked about royal love stories finally reached its happy ending. But what if that wasn't the whole picture? According to this version of events, the deeper people look into old documents, private meetings, and the timeline surrounding the divorce, the harder it becomes to believe everything happened as smoothly as it appeared. Instead of a peaceful separation, the story begins to look far more complicated. Some claim it wasn't simply the end of a marriage, but part of a carefully managed effort to remove someone who knew far more about the royal family than the public was ever supposed to hear. If that's true, the cost was enormous. This account suggests Andrew paid a far higher price than anyone realized. It wasn't just the end of his marriage, it was the loss of his home, his reputation, and the chance to defend himself while headlines painted him as the man who had failed. Day after day, he reportedly walked through London streets carrying a burden no one could see. Night after night, he returned to an emptier life after leaving Middlewick House behind, all while the public believed he had walked away comfortably with a generous settlement. Now, decades later, that forgotten journal is said to reveal the emotional weight he carried in silence. Every page is presented as a reminder of years spent holding back his side of the story, while others shape the public narrative. Whether every claim stands up to scrutiny or not, one thing is certain. After 30 years of silence, the questions surrounding Andrew Parker Bowles refuse to disappear, and for many, that silence has become the most intriguing part of the entire story. But does Andrew share any cordial relations with Camilla? Did the divorce strain everything Andrew shared with Camilla and their children? Stay with us. Camilla and Andrew's unbreakable family bond. So, here's something that still surprises many royal watchers. Even though Queen Camilla and Andrew Parker Bowles ended their marriage back in 1995 after 22 years together, their story didn't end with divorce papers. In fact, what happened afterward has been just as remarkable. Instead of drifting apart, they built a friendship so strong that many people say they still function like close family, especially for the sake of their two children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes. That unique relationship was impossible to miss when the former couple reunited in London for the launch of Tom's cookbook, Cooking and the Crown. It wasn't an awkward meeting or a carefully staged public appearance. Camilla and Andrew appeared relaxed in each other's company, joined by Laura and other relatives as they celebrated Tom's latest achievement. For many observers, it painted the picture of a family that refused to let divorce destroy the bonds they had built over decades. But that's only part of the story. People who know the family have long claimed that Andrew has remained an important figure in Camilla's personal life. According to reports, the two still meet regularly for lunch, attend family celebrations together, and stay in frequent contact. Some insiders have even described them as being joined at the hip, suggesting that Andrew has continued to be one of the people Camilla trusts most. Despite his reputation among friends as something of a charming rebel, he has reportedly remained dependable whenever his former wife or their family needed him. That lasting connection has even been visible during some of the biggest moments in modern royal history. When King Charles III and Queen Camilla were crowned in 2023, Andrew was among those invited to witness the historic occasion. His presence spoke volumes. Rather than showing bitterness or keeping his distance, he attended in support of the woman he had once been married to, sending a quiet but powerful message that respect had outlived their marriage. At the heart of it all are Tom and Laura, the two people who have always connected their parents. Both have forged successful lives away from official royal duties while maintaining close relationships with both Camilla and Andrew. Tom's cookbook launch became yet another reminder that, despite years of personal change and intense public attention, this family continues to celebrate life's biggest moments together. For many royal followers, it offers a rare example of a divorced couple who managed to replace resentment with friendship, creating a family bond that has endured through decades of change, public scrutiny, and even the pressures of life inside the royal spotlight. But was Andrew really settled by Charles? What did Andrew have to say about this? What exactly happened? Keep watching. Andrew's silence hid royal secrets. So, here's where this story takes an unexpected turn. For years, rumors spread that Andrew Parker Bowles walked away from his divorce with Camilla carrying a fortune. According to the gossip, the future King Charles III had quietly paid him millions of pounds to keep silent about the royal affair that had dominated headlines. Some even claimed the money came from the Duchy of Cornwall, fueling the belief that the royal family had simply written a very large check to make a difficult problem disappear. But according to this account, that version of events couldn't be further from the truth. Instead, the story claims Andrew refused every financial offer that was placed before him. Rather than accepting what many believed would have been a life-changing settlement, he reportedly chose to live on nothing more than his military pension. It wasn't an easy decision. The account says that to deal with outstanding mortgages and growing debts, Middlewick House, the family's well-known estate in Wiltshire, had to be sold. It was a painful sacrifice, but one the story says Andrew made for a deeply personal reason. He supposedly wanted his children, Tom and Laura, to know that he had never earned a penny from their mother's relationship with Charles. But if you think the money was the biggest issue, this is where things become even more intriguing. So, according to this account, people inside the palace weren't just worried about ending a marriage, they were worried about protecting the monarchy itself. The story claims that the respected lawyer Lord Goodman was brought in, not to represent King Charles or even the Queen, but to quietly advise senior government figures and trusted royal officials. Their biggest fear, it says, was what might happen if Andrew Parker Bowles decided to fight back in court instead of agreeing to a private settlement. According to the same narrative, Andrew could have publicly revealed details about Charles's long-standing relationship with Camilla, turning a private divorce into a national scandal. But the concerns reportedly went even further. The account suggests that such a legal battle might also have triggered unwanted scrutiny of the Duchy of Cornwall's private finances. At a time when many British families were already facing financial hardship, any revelations about royal wealth and privilege could have fueled public outrage and intensified criticism of the monarchy. That, the story suggests, left Andrew facing an impossible choice. He could fight for a larger settlement and risk dragging the monarchy into an unprecedented public battle, or he could remain silent and accept years of financial hardship. According to this version of events, he chose silence, placing duty above personal gain. Whether these claims are accurate remains disputed, but the account argues that the money was never the real issue. It was simply the first sign of much deeper fears growing behind palace doors. So, after the divorce, was Andrew affected by the loss? Did he make any attempt to regain his dignity? What did he do? Stay glued? Andrew's secret files shook palace. All right, so here's where this story takes an even more surprising turn. After Andrew Parker Bowles lost both his family home and much of the stable life he had once known, many believed he had reached the end of the road. His finances had taken a serious hit, and his private life had been turned upside down. But despite everything he had lost, Andrew still held something that made him far from powerless. Years of military service had given him valuable experience, trusted security clearances, important personal records, and connections with people who knew how the highest levels of government and royal security operated. By 1995, Andrew was living quietly in a modest flat in London, keeping a much lower profile than before. But behind closed doors, he was reportedly spending hours putting together detailed notes about royal security procedures, especially those connected to Prince Charles's visits with Camilla. According to this account, he wasn't preparing for a courtroom battle or planning to go public. Instead, he was carefully creating a personal record, something he believed could protect him if powerful people ever tried to turn against him. That quiet effort reportedly did not go unnoticed. According to the story, palace officials became increasingly worried about how much Andrew knew. If he ever chose to speak publicly, his knowledge could complicate ongoing efforts to improve Camilla's public image. Reports claim that trusted intermediaries quietly reached out to him, offering reassurances about the future careers and opportunities of his children, Tom and Laura, if he agreed to remain silent. Suddenly, Andrew was said to be facing an impossible choice. Should he reveal what he believed was the truth, or should he protect the future of the people he loved most? But the roots of his growing distrust reportedly stretched back several years. The story claims that during the 1991 badminton horse trials, Princess Diana asked to speak with him in private. During that conversation, she allegedly warned Andrew that they were both being manipulated by forces inside the palace. Even more startling, she reportedly claimed that his telephone conversations were being monitored because of what he knew about Charles and Camilla's relationship. According to this version of events, Diana believed both of their marriages had become casualties of a much larger plan to reshape the monarchy. Rather than making public accusations, Andrew reportedly chose another path. Using trusted military contacts, he allegedly carried out his own quiet investigation. The account claims he was eventually told that a listening device had indeed been placed on the telephone line at his Wiltshire home. Whether true or not, Andrew reportedly saw this as a far greater betrayal than his failed marriage. Then, in 1992, he is said to have confronted Prince Charles privately. Charles reportedly offered no clear answer, suggesting such security matters were beyond his authority. Soon afterward, the alleged surveillance equipment reportedly disappeared, leaving Andrew convinced that the immediate danger had passed, but that he had become an even bigger concern behind palace walls. Now, what did the people see when the whole drama started? What was made of the actions of all stakeholders? Stay tuned. The tragedy turned into a weapon. Here's where this story takes an even more dramatic turn. According to this account, everything changed on the 29th of June 1994, the day Prince Charles appeared on national television and openly admitted that he had been unfaithful during his marriage. Millions of people watched the interview unfold, but one man was reportedly watching with very different emotions: Andrew Parker Bowles. The story claims this was no ordinary television appearance. Instead, it alleges that palace officials had carefully planned the interview months in advance, with every detail designed to control the public narrative surrounding the royal marriage. So, according to these claims, Andrew suddenly found himself trapped in a situation with no clear way out. Once the interview aired, the entire world's attention shifted to Charles, Diana, and Camilla, leaving almost no space for anyone to hear Andrew's side of the story. The public conversation became completely focused on the royal love triangle, while Andrew was reportedly expected to step aside, stay silent, and quietly accept the collapse of his marriage. But the story did not end there. Reports claim that not long afterward, a collection of confidential documents found their way to him, including BBC scheduling records and private palace press office memos. If genuine, these papers appeared to suggest that the famous interview had been carefully planned as part of a much bigger strategy, rather than being a rushed, last-minute decision. Even so, Andrew allegedly chose not to speak out, fearing the serious legal consequences that could come from violating the Official Secrets Act, and instead locked the documents away. But the story doesn't stop there. It reaches back more than a decade to one of the darkest moments in modern British military history, the 1982 Hyde Park bombing. According to this account, Andrew, who was serving as a commanding officer at the time, earned widespread praise for taking charge in the immediate aftermath of the IRA attack, which claimed the lives of 4 soldiers and 7 horses. Years later, however, the narrative alleges that classified files connected to the tragedy, known as Operation Ironclad, resurfaced during the breakdown of his marriage. The claims become even more startling from there. According to the story, Sir Michael Peat allegedly presented Andrew with evidence suggesting that an earlier warning about a suspicious vehicle had not been acted upon before the bombing. Andrew reportedly insisted that severe staffing shortages, not carelessness, had caused the missed warning. Even so, he was allegedly told that reopening the matter could seriously damage the reputation of his regiment and cast a shadow over the memory of the soldiers who had died. Faced with that possibility, Andrew is said to have chosen silence over confrontation. Then, just before retiring in 1994, he reportedly discovered a photocopy of an Operation Ironclad document carrying a Cabinet Office timestamp matching the very day Prince Charles approved his famous television interview. According to this account, Andrew kept the document hidden, believing it could one day serve as evidence that sensitive military records had been used to protect the future king from even greater public scrutiny. What did Andrew make of his life after everything? What sacrifices did he make along the line? Let's find out. Andrew's silent sacrifice finally revealed. In February 1996, Andrew Parker Bowles quietly remarried. There were no grand royal celebrations, no cheering crowds, and no headline-making spectacle. Just 1 year after his divorce from Camilla was finalized, he married Rosemary Pittman in a small, private ceremony. To many people, it looked like a man simply moving on with his life. But according to this account, there may have been far more happening behind the scenes than anyone realized. The story claims that months before the wedding, Camilla's brother, Mark Shand, delivered a private message from Prince Charles. The alleged request was simple but significant. Charles reportedly wanted Andrew settled into a new marriage before he could openly present Camilla as his partner. In return, Andrew was supposedly assured that his children, Tom and Laura, would be welcomed, supported, and given opportunities within royal circles. If these claims are true, Andrew faced a difficult choice. Rather than protecting his own public image, he reportedly chose what he believed would secure his children's future, even if it meant allowing the world to misunderstand his role in the story. But that's only one part of the narrative. So, while the public focused on the headlines surrounding Andrew's marriage, another deeply personal battle was reportedly unfolding behind closed doors. According to the same account, a military medical examination in late 1994 revealed that he had a serious heart condition requiring high-risk surgery. Faced with the frightening possibility that he might not survive, Andrew is said to have begun thinking about Camilla's future. Reports claim he wanted to ensure she would be financially protected through Charles, rather than be left carrying his debts and other responsibilities. In the end, Andrew reportedly came through the operation safely. Yet he never publicly spoke about that terrifying chapter of his life, or confirmed whether it shaped the life-changing decisions that followed. Years later, when Charles and Camilla married in 2005, Andrew's attendance was widely seen as a gracious gesture. Yet this account suggests it represented something much deeper: the quiet conclusion of an understanding that had supposedly been in place for nearly a decade. Even after Camilla became queen, Andrew reportedly remained carefully out of the royal spotlight. Palace protocol allegedly kept him at a distance during official events, avoiding any public moments between him and his former wife. Today, after losing Rosemary in 2010, Andrew lives a peaceful life in Wiltshire. He has never published a memoir, never tried to profit from his story, and never publicly challenged the many headlines written about him. Whether the claims surrounding these events are true or not remains unverified, leaving behind a mystery that continues to spark curiosity years later. So, what do you think about the revelations of Camilla's ex-husband? What could his presence indicate about the divorce? We'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.